on ghosts. Who was here on Sunday? Okay, who wasn't here on Sunday? That's easier. Okay, yeah. So I did a talk on Sunday on this topic. Happy to go over it a bit more and dive deeper into certain things that I didn't have time for on the Sunday talk. But it's an interesting topic, and one that's very practical for people that are experiencing attacks by ghosts, or just for people that just want to. Oh, that's many more seats. We're expecting lots of people. That's good. Or just wanting to improve their lifestyle for general mental health. It's also useful. So before we. In which order should we do this? Let's start with something, brief overview. Ghosts from the perspective of the Krishna conscious yoga knowledge of ancient India are beings of mind and consciousness without having a material body. Mind is like software in a computer, where it is virtual information. It is information that, like, you can transfer software between. You can't really point at software. Like, where is the software? Where is the iPhone operating system? Is it in here? Is it in the cloud? Is it where? I don't know. So similarly, a ghost is like, where is it? It's nowhere, but it exists. It's there. It's something, but it's not physical in that sense. So getting a grasp at that with material scientific instruments is hard because you're looking in the wrong place. So we learn all about ghosts, why they exist, what they do, and how we can proof our own minds so that the ghosts cannot take them over. 4 main topics that we can talk about and go deep, and we can have an interactive conversation about. The mystic arts and mantras, and how we deal with ghosts by using things that some people might consider mystical, like chanting words and stuff. Knowledge, just like pure knowledge about ghosts, going into detail about what they are, how they work, materials, research that validates ghosts existing, and so on. Peace and resilience to material misery. Ghosts are in a very miserable material position, and one of the main ways that ghosts get created is by people committing suicide because of miserable material positions, thinking that they are improving their position or ending suffering, but ending up in a worse situation. So having resilience to material miseries in various ways is important for someone trying to avoid becoming a ghost and just having a better life in general. And finally, anti-ghost lifestyle. If someone is suffering from various issues, I don't know what that was, from various issues of ghost attacks or not, improving their lifestyle and just improving your lifestyle in general is helpful. So I would like everyone to come up and take the pen and put a dot next to, in the quadrant, if the pen actually works. This was working earlier. No, do we?
There's some more.
There's some more? Where?
Are they in the bag?
Yes, about.
Yeah, there's another one that doesn't work out there.
Find the ones in the drawer at the front.
Mm. Or we can do this old-fashioned way, where no, we'll do this. It'll be fun.
Oh, there's one gun.
Yeah. All right. One, we're just getting some more markers. We can just introduce ourselves quickly, and then we'll be ready for this. Okay.
I'm Chris.
And say your name and say if you've had any experience with ghosts.
Have I had an
Personally.
experience? Not that I know of.
Hmm.
Probably have, but not that I know of.
Thanks. Yay, work. Next.
I'm Pranesh. I haven't had any experiences with ghosts.
I'm Yashni. I haven't had any experience with ghosts. I'm Nitai. I've only had experience with ghosts through my wife. We used to see them all the time. And another friend of mine who also used to see them all the time.
I'm Jordan. I have had a little bit of experience with ghosts, which I thought was like what you said was like the wide fall, the subtle body.
Yeah.
Yes, I've had experience with ghosts.
You have or
Where?
you have or have not?
I have.
Oh, yeah.
About
But-
the same, I've had a lot of experience with ghosts, and I can, yeah, I've had, yeah, some very, very amazing experiences and some very scary, many times with my life, personally and in houses of friends,
Mm.
when I can see ghosts.
Go ahead, Lisa.
I'm Vivian, and yeah, not really that I'm aware of that I've experienced with that.
My name's Chris, with Ghost Not with Spirits Yawa.
Yeah. And
Hello, Kira. Sorry, I'm hiding. I think I may have had a few experiences.
My name's Thomas, and yeah, I would classify them as a spirit as well. Not today.
Yep, my name's Jocelyn, and honestly, I'm certain I can't really confirm, but yeah, a few experiences with something.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And Candidasa. I personally have not had experience of ghosts, but I've been in rooms where like the person right next to me was like majorly freaking out while they're waking up or just about waking up. So yeah. So let's come up, and everyone has 2 dots. Come and put a dot in 2 of the quadrants that are most interesting for you, and then those are the ones, and the ones that collect the most dots are the ones we'll focus on talking about the most.
Can you explain the mystic arts and mantra again, just quickly?
Yeah, sure. So using like you can think of like when people think of mystic arts, they think of like Dr. Strange or something, and you're like bending time around and stuff. The Bhagavad Gita talks about true mysticism is utilizing the power of mantra and meditation to purify your mind and purify your existence. So talking about how we can use various mantras to enhance our consciousness in various ways, to make ourselves more resistant to ghosts and just improve our lives in general. Yeah, so come on, don't be shy. Everyone, more than one person can come at once.
You got 2 dots on the same.
Yeah, you can do 2 dots on the same if you want.
So you need to put a dot what you want. Sorry, because I can have it in later.
Well, yeah, put a dot on the ones that are most interesting for you.
Oh, for me. Okay.
And you
yeah.
have two different dots that you can place.
Okay.
Oh wait, do we all get 2 dots?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And yes, you can put 2 dots on the same. When you're done, pass on your marker to the next person. Thank you.
Yeah. So they need to be able to.
Did you get ghost hunting? Smart stuff.
I'm trying to help you out.
Not pretty equal now, is it?
I don't know about the anti-ghost lights.
All right, so
You're lucky we like this shape.
we have 1, 2, 9 here, 5 here.
There's one on the far side too.
Yeah, come
We
here.
got it.
5 here and 5 here. Okay.
It's gonna be hard.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Oh, good
Like
thing
a-
you came.
Yeah,
So-
Tiebreaker. This is like putting you completely on the spot. We're talking about ghosts, 4 different areas of.
Wait, you too, right? Did you put dots?
Oh no, I mean I.
Alright, so you two
I don't
have
care.
to break the tie.
Yeah, and we have a tie of what we're going to talk about, what we're going to focus on, what's most interesting. Ah, knowledge,
I'll take your vote.
mystic
Can you
art.
split the dots?
Yeah. Butterstein and Lilichan don't count, right? Because you know all this stuff already, right? So, but let's start on the mystic arts, and then we can naturally go into other things. So, just for the sake of having everyone on the same page, let's go through some of the. I think it would be useful to go through some of the knowledge and definitions of what ghosts are from a Krishna conscious point of view, from the point of view of the ancient yoga knowledge of India that's over 5,000 years old, but really timeless. So, from that point of view, humans are made out of a material body, a subtle mind, that's like computer software, and a consciousness, which is the observer. Consciousness, self, soul, all these things we would use interchangeable to mean the thing that's experiencing, the thing that has desires, the thing that is actually us. And everything else is a covering of a mind. A mind's job is to make snap judgments, to go, I like that thing, I don't like that thing. I want to do more of that, less of that. I'm going to make a plan on how I accomplish this. All of that is kind of in the mind intelligence realm. And then the physical body is the biological machine that we use to move around and do things. So a ghost is no physical body, but everything else. All the desires, all the longings, but none of the ability to fulfill those because no physical body. And of course, there's the mind. The mind has abilities such as like some people have the ability to read thoughts, to observe things far away, to move things with their mind. So some ghosts also similarly have the ability to do those things, and thereby interact with the material world we see all around us. Yeah, go ahead.
So if you call ghosts these disincorporated beings or whatever, then what's the difference between a ghost and a spirit or an angel or a god or a demigod, etc., etc.?
Oh yeah, okay. I think there's like 4 main types of ghosts in different ones. I haven't really studied the different variations of ghost spirits, and there's lots of different creatures and beings and everything. We get into the yoga Vedic Krishna conception of the universe, where we here are on what is known as the middle planets or the middle dimensions, where happiness and stress are relatively equally mixed. You don't have a terrible life. Most people don't have a terrible life. Most people don't have a great life. There's something that goes wrong for most people. Then we have upper and lower planets or dimensions, or you could call them. It's not like there's like you can think of when people are searching for extraterrestrial life from the point of view of the yoga texts, extraterrestrial life is everywhere. We just can't see it because we are stuck in our single dimension of way of seeing it. So we have lower planets where technology is more advanced than here, but consciousness is less advanced. And then higher planets where consciousness is more advanced and there's more facility for enjoyment, but there's less technology because people don't need it. People's bodies naturally have powers. So in those higher planets you have like what you might from a Christian point of view call angels, who are like beautiful beings with wings and so on, who have bodies like everyone else. And then there's lower planets, people with bodies who are interacting with advanced technologies, and you might visit the Earth in UFOs. But then you also have a whole bunch of disincorporated beings, or yogis who can, or higher beings who can temporarily leave their material body behind and move around as a disembodied mind. And then you have people like Brahma, whose body is said to be made of pure intelligence, and is able to. But all of these things are a little bit difficult to kind of get your head around as you're trying to. As you're reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, which goes into incredible detail on all this stuff, it all kind of fits in and it gets wrapped around stories of people being taught philosophical knowledge. I don't know if that answers the question, but there's a whole realm out there.
It sounds to me like what we're talking about is beings who used to be people and then stopped being people, but didn't do whatever the next step is, and so are trapped here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And ghosts are trapped generally for the length of time that they would have lived had they not died an untimely death. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So, mystic arts and mantras. Here at the loft, we predominantly chant the Hare Krishna mantra, of course, which most people, anyone not familiar with the Hare Krishna mantra? No, okay, yeah. So that mantra is there, has many functions, but mantra in general is, the word mantra means to free the mind, literally. The translation of mana is the mind, also in Maori, mana is the mind, and then tra or traite is to free in Sanskrit. So mantra literally frees the mind from so many conceptions. So various mantras can help us gain some protection over ghosts and spirits and so on. I told a story I'll tell two stories to illustrate this. One was the story I told on Sunday of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a teacher in our line, and he lived around 100 years ago in India, near Calcutta, in eastern India. And I visited the museum, his house that is a museum, and he was like crazy accomplished person. Had like 13 children, and he was one of only 4 people in India under British rule who the British decided to make high court judges and he was a city magistrate and a high court judge at the same time. The government built a train line to his house because so many people wanted to see him, and he was so popular and so accomplished. And he also wrote many poems and books and everything about the ancient philosophy and making it accessible to the audience at the time. So this amazing scholar, there's so many stories of amazing stuff that happened to him. Going on a bit of a tangent, but there was this mystic yogi that used his mental powers to manipulate people, steal money from them, and he arranged for his hair to be secretly cut off, where he lost his mystic power, because many yogis store their mystic power in their hair. But that's another story. And the story I wanted to tell was when he was traveling with his youngest son, Bhaktisiddhanta, who later became another great teacher in our line of teachers. And they happened upon a village where when it was getting late and they needed to spend the night. So they talked to the villagers and asked if they could spend the night anywhere. And the villagers said, yes, you can spend the night in this house here, it's free. And they thanked them, they went into the hut. And then the next morning, all the villagers gathered around them and asked them, well, how was your night? And they were like, fine. But we only have this one house for you to stay. But everyone that stays there gets attacked by a ghost and has a horrible night. And they answered, well, we chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, and yes, indeed, this ghost was there trying to harass us, but by the power of the mantra, the ghost was freed and has moved on to its next life, and we had a peaceful night, and no one will be bothered by this ghost again. And the villagers were amazed. Like, what? For so many years, everyone has been harassed by this ghost. How did you do it? And they were, well, what? Chanting. chanting this mantra. That was enough. And of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was like one of the supreme teachers, the most accomplished chanter of mantras in the world at the time. So not something that like you or I can necessarily do, but we can certainly aspire for that level. Another example of mantra chanting, I can actually tell 3 stories about this. This one, I heard where when there were Krishna conscious practitioners in communist Russia, back before Russia, back while Russia was the what's it called, USSR, and the communist government, of course, did not like anything spiritual going on. They were kind of purely materialist, and they arrested any practitioners of Krishna consciousness that they could find. And actually, Devamrita Swami would sneak behind the Iron Curtain and teach Krishna consciousness to people secretly when he was younger. So some practitioner. There was one lady practitioner of Krishna consciousness who was in communist Russia, who the KGB caught and put into prison for the crime of practicing spirituality. So the KGB, of course, being completely ruthless. So they put her into prison, and she started teaching Krishna consciousness to all the prisoners in prison. And she got practically everyone in the prison started chanting, and the prison guards were like, oh, "Stop, lady! What are you doing? We're here because we wanted to stop you teaching Krishna consciousness, but come in." But here you are teaching it to all the prisoners. What are we going to do? So they put her in a room, and they hired this sorceress witch lady from like rural Russia who was famous for doing black magic spells and cursing people and doing all kinds of dark rituals. So she came in. They had her tied to a chair, and they tasked her with breaking this lady's will. So this witch lady came in and started doing all kinds of rituals, and the practitioner yogi, devotee lady, said she was feeling her, intruding into her mind and doing all kinds of things she couldn't really comprehend what was going on. So she was, of course, scared of this lady who was looked very intimidating and was doing something to her that she could not grasp. So she started chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, but the lady kept doing her magic, and then she started chanting the Nrsimhadev mantra, Nrsimhadev being this half lion, half man being, incarnation of Krishna that is there for protection, which normally would be very protective, but again, this lady had some potency and was not helping. And then she started chanting what's known as the Prabhupada Pranam mantra, which is a mantra thanking the. So you have Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was with him on that trip, one of his students, Prabhupada, was the person who then brought the Krishna conscious knowledge from India to the Western world and spread it all around the world. So he's one of our most recent teachers in our line of teachers. And so Prabhupada is again not a normal human being, like supremely elevated soul. So Prabhupada, even though he passed away in 1977, his consciousness and spirit is around to assist people in various ways. So she was chanting this Prabhupada mantra, and as soon as she started that mantra, the supposedly, the witch's eyes went wide. She got a scared expression on her face and ran out of the room. And the lady could hear the guards talking to the witch, and the guards asking, well, go back in. Do your job, what we hired you for. And she was like, no, I'm not going back in there. I'm not going back in there. There's this old angry man standing there who is forbidding me from harming this lady. I'm not going back in there. He's too scary. He's too powerful. And eventually, the lady was released from prison, and she told the story to the people around. And yeah, well, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a powerful experience of the power of mantra to affect change in consciousness and the world. So what do you think of that?
So would you call this guy a good ghost?
Yes.
Still a ghost.
Not exactly ghost. Well, no material mind, pure consciousness, being a pure consciousness, who can come into the material world at will and affect change. So if you like, we can practice some of these mantras. Who's into that?
Let's do the ghost guy.
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
So these are mantras especially for like ghosts?
I mean,
Was any
general purpose mantras. Yeah, not just for ghosts. Use them all the time and chant them for all kinds of good purposes, but then also for ghosts. Yes.
I've used it in my dreams when I'm attacked by ghosts. I used when I was living in the house I'm in now, and any persons who live with us. So they come in your dream, and in your dream you can't talk. So you can chant in your mind, and I just Hare Krishna, and boom, you feel them come out of the body. So I've had not over the last few years, but in the early years of living in this house, I end up talking to the ghosts because I can see them in my mind. So I knew it was an old guy. I get information. It's not like I see the ghost, but I see the ghost. And we found out that the house that Julian bought, that house, the old man died in the garage, and I was living in the garage. So I used to talk to him. He used to come into my dreams. He was very, very upset. And he'd pop out, and I'd say, Hare Krishna, leave me alone. And then I ended up talking to him, and I found but then I befriended him because he wasn't going away. So I thought, like, you don't want to. So I actually made friends with him, told him his position, and said, look, if you keep harassing me, you're stuck. But if you chant this mantra, you'll move on, and you'll get a better situation. I can be peaceful. And I said, I don't want to. If you're going to stay here, let's be friends. So I bought him a car. I actually bought him a car because I found out what car he likes. So I bought him a toy car, and he never bothered me ever since then.
Wow.
But the mantra in the mind when it's happening, if you have it happen, just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
How did you give him a material car?
Because he's there, he sees things, and he appreciated somehow he appreciated it. And I said, look, I don't want to fight with you. We've got to live here together. Because usually, but now I said it was a gift. It's a car, you like cars. And he was, but I think it was more. A few nights he came. I knew when he was standing behind me, and I said, "Oh, you're here. I'm just doing my worship." I said, "Look, this is your situation. Just chant Hare Krishna, and you'll move on." And it went away. Even Rasa and Julian used to come in. We did kirtan in the room many nights.
Does he pay rent now?
He's gone. Oh. Because my son lives in that room now.
Did he take the car with him?
I've had similar stuff happen too, but like when I go to chant the mantra, that's sort of like trying to stop me chanting and chanting.
Yeah,
It's hard to connect.
They stop. You can't talk, and you feel quite breathless.
Yeah.
What if you play a recording?
Some people do that. They leave the mantra playing at night.
That's the question I wanted to ask you. You know how some people, bhakti Vinod, could get rid of them or deliver them.
Yeah.
What if you played Prabhupada when, because they'll come, the ghost will come around you. So at that time you can people, but
Yeah.
Ghost repellent.
Some people do that, and some works sometimes, doesn't work sometimes. Depends on the ghost. Depends on the person.
And also an interesting thing is like I see ghosts I know when they walk by, I get information, but my friend Gokul, when I had a ghost in my flat in London that you visited.
Yeah.
And I just knew he's tall, he's large, he's male, I just get this information, and I used to feel him when I used to go into my room, but he never bothered me. Then a girl moved in and he started harassing her. But and then sometimes I was having a gig in my kitchen, we used to rehearse, and one of my friends actually saw it. So it's different people have different karma or sensitivities, whereas I don't have the ability to see them like this. But my friend Gokul came in and said, there's a man standing in the doorway, I can see him, you can't see him, Gokul, you meet Gokul. So it's like that, right? Some people just don't.
I remember a long time ago, I remember reading this article about this guy who was living in this house in California, and he would see ghosts regularly. He would see them.
Oh, there's two.
There's three.
Oh, there's three. Oh, sorry, I was handing them
He
back.
would see them. He would see them regularly, and he would feel them. He'd hallucinate. You could feel the heat coming from them and stuff. But then after he left the house, they did an investigation to see what's going on, because it was a common thing with everyone who lived there. And they found that there was a blockage in the chimney, and it was carbon monoxide, and it was carbon monoxide poisoning that caused all that, rather than a spiritual intervention.
blood one?
I like these guys.
We got all.
Oh yeah, there's things that happen, shrug off these things, but I personally sort of seen them in my dream, and
Yeah.
I fight with them. You know?
Of course, not every mental disturbance is a ghost necessarily.
That's right. Every mental disturbance is a ghost.
Thanks. Yeah. But then some are, and then or some things that are ghosts manifest as something material also. So you might have like an intermixing, where like the mind can do so much, like just like the placebo effect in medicine, right? Where the mind can change the material body. The mind is in control of making the body, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So with your thing where ghosts are like beings who got trapped here, to me that implies something wrong. And so, like they didn't do the natural process for whatever reason. Then that implies some like lower level of consciousness compared to the last guy you were mentioning, who that operates in the spirit realm or whatever. And so the question is, are all ghosts gonna necessarily, in what you're calling ghosts, be harmful because of that lower consciousness, or some are just, let's say, have a lack of virtue, as an example, that they're not outwardly harmful, they're just in their own suffering, and then can some actually be outwardly beneficial?
I'd say you get all of those in various degrees. Most, because being a ghost is so frustrating, and a person without any kind of spiritual knowledge would be would not really understand what's going on and just be angry. You'd get, I would say most ghosts are not bad not because they are bad, but have just by circumstances ended up in a situation where they harass people. But then there's also good ghosts. Like I knew a person whose mother committed suicide, and then the mother came to her in dreams and was like giving her advice and trying to protect her. So there's also that.
But that could also be like the emotional response of being detached from someone that suddenly. Like you hear stories like that with people that have even been in relationships for 5-10 years, but after they break up, they hallucinate the person, or even dead. You know, they see you.
But then a flatmate of that lady also experienced that mother coming and the flatmate was telling the person whose mother it was things that only the mother would have known.
And because I heard you on Sunday saying also, so suicidal is actually in the Vedic what they describe. If you take suicide, that's also why you don't go to that next plane, let's say, or that you stay stuck as it goes, right? So,
Right. That's the most common, where your karma is not your karma, or you do a next body at a certain time by nature, and that time has not come yet.
Yeah.
So in this in between state stuck.
Yeah.
What about these legends of like people who died in houses like 200 years ago, and then they're still around?
Yeah, not sure about those. I mean, certainly you hear a lot of those. And
Too, though. You can also do that.
someone has
Extended suffering for previous.
You also get ghosts that are really attached to something and just won't let go, and they can stay for as strong as their will is to hold on. All right, let's go through these mantras. You can take this home, of course, and let's go with the Prabhupada one, just for sake of Sanskrit pronunciation. We will go through these, and then you can practice them if you want.
Which one?
The Prabhupada one, the one with the Indian man on it, which is a picture of him. Let's go word for word. So I'll say some words, and then you can repeat, and then we'll go through it maybe 3 times. Nama Om. Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prastaya. Bhutale. Srimate. Bhaktivedanta Swamin. Iti Namine. Nama Om. Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prastaya. Bhutale. Srimate. Bhaktivedanta Swamin. Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. Krishna Prastaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin. Iti Namine. Yeah, very good. All right, yeah, so that was we use this one all the time when we're like just offering respects to the past teachers for the teachings that they've given. And then Shringadev one, this one with the picture of Shringadev, which is a whole other story. Half man, half lion being, which is there in the Krishna stories, but also if you're thinking like half human, half lion, that's like the Sphinx also. So the Vedic culture is permeated throughout all of the world, including ancient Egypt, of course. And practically every Western culture, just from the language, comes from Sanskrit. Every Western language, except for like Gaelic, comes from Sanskrit. So this knowledge and culture and philosophy is really all-pervading in the world, and has produced the Western culture that we're and most Native American culture and Maori culture and everything. So it's this universal society which maybe like 8,000 to 12,000 years ago existed. So anyway, Shri Nashringa, Jai Nashringa, Jai Nashringadev, Praladesha, Jaya Padma, Mukta, Padma Bringha, Shri Nashringa, Jai Nashringa, Jai Nashringadev, Praladesha, Jaya Padma, Mukta, Padma Bringha. Shri Nishringa, Jaya Nishringa. Jai Jai Nishringadev. Praladesha Jaya Padma. Mukta Padma Bringha. Very good.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it pronounced mukta?
Yes. Yeah.
Mukha.
It's missing a T in this one. Or is that just how it's?
Oh, Mukha. Mukha.
Face.
Mukha.
Okay.
Sanskrit expert, Chan, please help us.
It's face. You're saying mukta, but it's mukha.
Mukha. Okay. Yeah,
It's
mispronounced it.
face. It's lotus-like face.
Mukha. Yeah.
I need the
Chan has
translation.
studied Sanskrit much more than any of us. So, Mukha. Sorry. And next one, the Hare Krishna mantra. But before chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, it's generally recommended to, again, offer respects to the various teachers who have come in the line of teachers who have brought us this knowledge. And so this first one is like an invocation to the Hare Krishna mantra, which is Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadha, Shrivasadi, Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadha, Shrivasadi, Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadha, Shrivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Yeah, very good. And now the very familiar Hare Krishna mantra of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Did you need to do that one? Everyone knows that one. All right, yes, so you're armed for combating ghosts.
Russians. Russians.
Russians. And Russian witches. Yeah. Yeah, or if you're kidnapped by the CIA, you can try the same trick. All right, so any more on that topic? We can move on to one of the other ones that everyone equally wants to know about. Yeah, is that fine? No? Okay. So, peace and resilience, knowledge. We kind of already covered knowledge of ghosts. Is there any more to ghosts? We talked about ghost lifetime, becoming ghosts, suicide, which is of course such a major problem in the world in general and New Zealand specifically.
Is there any data on that, on suicide, getting into, like not actually crossing over and staying sort of in between room? Do you have any, did you research that or?
Don't think there's any
data
kind of official source of data that believes in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me actually. There, another part of the knowledge situation. I mentioned on Sunday that like, if you ask material scientists, do ghosts exist? They laugh at you. Oh, of course not. No, you believe in ghosts. Fool, right? You get this kind of responses from material scientists a lot. And because of that, it's considered, as a scientist, if you study ghosts and try to study these things, you don't get any funding, you get thrown out of your university for studying pseudoscience. And that's why there's no science on ghosts, because no one's allowed to study them, because everyone knows they don't exist. So, which is, of course, a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if everyone knows they don't exist and you're not allowed to study them, no one will be able to prove that they exist. However, if you go back 100 years, completely different story. 100 years ago, people were not established in their what do you call it, stuck in this rut of thinking one particular way, and were very open to investigating anything and everything in that area, and they did, and wrote about it. And present-day scientists just conveniently ignore all the writings from super advanced scientists of 100 years ago on the topic, such as Marie Curie and Pierre Curie, her husband, both of everyone's heard of Marie Curie, I assume, won the Nobel Prize in Physics for discovering radium, the first radioactive element, and won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for something else.
Is she the one who has like a notebook in case somewhere you can't even look at it? She was buried in a lead coffin.
Not sure, but yeah, she died of radiation poisoning because obviously yes, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Do you think she became a ghost?
Hmm?
You think she?
Radioactive ghost.
Oh yeah, maybe.
She died prematurely.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows, right?
She lights up the room.
Yeah. So she kept a lot. She went to a séance, as she called it, where there was a ghost in attendance, and she wrote elaborate notes. And this is from her notes on 4th of July, 6th of July, 1906, where she writes, "The table goes about 4 feet in the air for 1 second and then falls down violently. Table lifted up 4 feet, complete control. Then the table moves laterally without contact to the floor on both sides. We want to launch an official research program into this."
She should get into the house moving business. She should get into the house moving
Yeah.
I don't think they pay that much to just move the table and put it back down.
Keep going with the truck.
Yeah.
I think maybe people have had experiences of people who've suicide, have actually committed suicide, and then, the family or friends, they kind of have experiences of seeing that person as a ghost afterwards, maybe, and that's maybe, a lot of what that foundation is based on.
We've been doing the experiments for many months, starting to see the same results. The bodily limbs appear in various ways. They're inviting their scientist friends, likely to witness some of the experiences after a few good sessions. You'll certainly be convinced of this. Completely new domain of facts and physical science might be presenting itself here. Science of which we have presently no idea. Yeah, so that's all I have from Marie Curie. But there is lots and lots of others where, levitating tables, apparitions where ghostly bodies form and dissolve, talking to departed people, and lots more.
I went to a gathering once with my girlfriend. I was about 18, and there's things called white witches in England. I used to go to some of these festivals. You have like dark witches and white witches, and some of the peripheral ex-Christian, they're Christians, but they're extradited from the Christian because they have these kind of spirit beliefs. And my girlfriend said, "I'm going to one of these sessions on Sunday," and I said, "I'll just pop along." And we both sat together. We don't know anyone in the room, and this guy came out, and he immediately said, "I've got someone here, and he's here for you." And he pointed me to my girlfriend Louise. She'd never been to these things before. She took me there for the first time, and he said, "This is the message," and he said something to her about someone and this message, and she really got up, ran out and crying, and I went home with her, and she said, "How did he know?" Because 3 years before, her previous boyfriend was killed in London, and before he went to London, he was a courier. He was actually a drug courier. It wasn't a very good profession. But he was shipping cocaine across for the rich people in the banks, and he got hit by a National Express bus and killed. the last thing that he said to her before he went to London, that man spoke it, said this is what he said, this is what he said, and this is what he wants to reply, and we'd never met. So he knew exactly what the last words were of her previous boyfriend 3 years before. And I remember just being totally blown away.
Yes.
Because we didn't know anyone, there was no name signing in or anything, so I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah.
How did he know what the last words were, who the person was, and then the words?
Do you believe in a collective unconscious?
I think not to take away from the story, but sometimes psychics just know very similar, where they say vague things like, I see you're going through a lot of suffering, or you've been through pain, and they'll say something like, oh, this happened to me, and then they'll probe further.
But he didn't say anything, he just walked into the room, looked at her and said, immediately, I got a message for you from so-and-so, and this is what he said, and we hadn't communicated.
That's the
You're getting
thing,
the
there's some
download,
people that
getting
have that ability, yeah.
He didn't say anything to us, we just sat down in the room, there was no questioning. We were there for 5 minutes and left, she was crying.
Yeah.
Medium, so.
Further on that, on that topic, not necessarily related to ghosts, but the subtle energies and things and people that have various powers. A while back, a friend said I was having some kind of health issues, and a friend said, "Oh, well, you should call this guy who's a psychic who might be able to help." And I was like, "Well, yeah, right." But I'll give it a go. Why not? So I phoned this guy, and his name's like Kevin McDonald. He lives in New Plymouth. You can find him if you want. He has a website. He does what's known as divining or dowsing, where in traditional European culture, people had divining rods for finding water, which they just walk around with, and then they would dip dig a well where there's water. And he used the same thing to remotely figure out what's troubling you, your health-wise, and then suggest some kind of health issues. And so I phoned him up and say, "Well, here's my name," and he's like, "Tell me nothing. Let me see. Oh yeah, okay. 2 weeks ago, you had major stress at work, and that caused a problem in your liver." And it's like 100% correct. How do you know? And he's like, "Well, take some ginger and stuff." His health advice wasn't particularly useful, but his diagnosis was really good.
I think the biggest thing about ghosts is that, well, people that don't believe that there's life after death, or heaven or something, that sort of confirms that there is God, because there is the life after death. So if they don't believe in life after death, or or God, there is life after death, then that's going to make them think, oh well, there must be something more. There must be God.
Yes.
You made mention about why they burn bodies.
Oh yeah, true. Right.
Might be interesting.
Yeah. Where in Inuit traditionally you burn bodies. One, it's more hygienic because dead bodies are poisonous in various ways, and then you don't have big graveyards. Have to populate. But from the point of view of the ghosts, if the body is still there, the ghost would try to hover around its body, because everyone is attached to their body to a certain extent, because it's all they know in this life, and most people don't want to leave their body when they die. So if the body is still there, the person has strong attachment to that body, they will try to stay with that body, try to stay with the associates of that body or the relatives around and all of that. But if the body is burned, that gives some degree of detachment from the body, because the body's gone and the spirit can move on, the ghost can move on to whatever is next more peacefully.
That's why graveyards you get more
Yes.
people hanging out.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, when I studied anthropology, if you look at the Native Americans, they also have funeral pyres. Most Native Americans, like in India, you burn the body, and what they're doing when the body's burning is they chant mantras. They chant to tell, and the mantras are to help the being to guide them. No, move on. It's all kind of like all ancient cultures prior to mechanistic European narrow-minded science, they don't understand that these ancient cultures were helping beings move, like you were saying. There's a moving on. So I studied American Indians and stuff, it's the same. And even when the British killed one of the last of the American native tribes, that they knew they were going to die. What's the tribe? Sioux tribe, I think they were. And the British turned up with all their machine guns. They all had guns. And they really recognized what it is. They did the thing called a ghost dance. This is what the anthropologists call it, a ghost dance. And they just put down their bows and arrows and started dancing and singing. And all the the British soldiers were just like a bit bewildered for a while until, of course, the commander said, just kill them. Right? But they were actually preparing to leave their bodies. They were all chanting their mantras because they knew, well, we're just moving on. And they knew, and if you look at some of the writings of the ancient native, maybe the chiefs knew that it was already predicted this time was going to come. So anyway, so mantras, it's not just the Hare Krishna thing, Indian thing, it's in all ancient traditions of moving on and burning the bodies so that the soul doesn't have a home. Imagine if you wanted to go home tonight and it burned down. Yeah. You're not going to try and, you just try and move on.
Yeah. Probably be more disturbed than how if my house burned down.
Yeah, but how long would you be disturbed for?
Depends what kind of place.
What if it was just like damaged slightly? And you think, well, maybe there's a chance to fix it.
A place without any windows.
Yeah, if it was all boarded up, you can't go in there.
It's like with animals that don't really hit.
Well, back to the burning thing, some people never get over that.
Eventually, we do in the scheme of things, the larger scheme of things.
All right, let's move on to this kind of anti-ghost lifestyle area, which is we have about 15 more minutes. Yeah. Anti-ghost lifestyle. Ghosts. Many things make one more vulnerable to attack from ghosts, and having a positive, what's known as mode of goodness lifestyle from Bhagavad Gita helps make one resilient to ghosts, and also it's just a better life in general that leads to more sustained happiness. So whether or not you believe in ghosts or not, or to a certain degree, where this is the thing with Krishna consciousness, you don't have to believe it for it to work. You can just chant the mantras and get the benefit, and if you believe, great. If you don't, it still works. Great. The benefits of mantra meditation are there whether or not ghost exists, whether or not you believe in supernatural things or not. It doesn't matter. you can still get some benefit either way. Similarly with the lifestyle recommended in the yoga texts, it only has various benefits. And different areas of lifestyle mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita.
That's a lot of slides.
Yeah, lots of slides. We have diet, of course. Vegetarian diet is plant-based diet in general is beneficial because eating things that are dead connects one with dead spirits. Charity, goals in life, austerity, sacrifices, thoughts, habits, speech, association, location, recreation, and sleep. All of these things we can talk about. Any of these jump out at anyone to talk about?
Slower.
Yeah, sure. Diet, goals, charity, austerity, doing something hard for a higher purpose, sacrifice, thoughts, habits, speech, association, people you're around, location, recreation, things you do for fun, and sleep.
Goals, sleep, recreation, location.
All right. Sleep. The amount you sleep. And other people too. Can jump in with things that they're interested in. The amount you sleep. directly determines the mode of nature you switch to. This, in Sanskrit, the mode of nature is known as a guna, which most people translate as rope, the rope that binds you. But Prabhupada expertly translated this as mode, a mode that you switch to. So depending on how you arrange your life and habits and lifestyle, you switch to a different mode. Like you can imagine like your car turning to forward or reverse or neutral. You can switch your life to a different mode by manipulating your lifestyle. And read Bhagavad Gita in chapter 17 and 18, talks about the mode of nature and how to do this in great detail. Sleeping longer than required, more than 8 hours generally, puts one in a ghost-centric lifestyle where many people, if they oversleep or have such a lifestyle that they sleep for a long time, sleep like 10, 12 hours, that makes someone more vulnerable to ghosts. Sleeping less so. What's the other thing? Next one?
Goals, vocation, recreation.
Recreation, what you do for fun. And what? Location. Like graveyard and so on, of course, not good. And pure, clean. If something's dirty and messy, also not good. For ghosts, if something is clean, full of spiritual items.
I was going to bring up that cleanliness wasn't on your list.
Oh yeah,
Because anybody who's had children knows that
yeah.
if you're trying to get your children to bed at night and they're not clean, they're practically possessed. And if you can get them in the bath, then it's so much easier to get them to sleep because the water's very purified.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah, and just like a messy room, even if you don't think of ghosts literally, but you think of them figuratively, then a messy room disturbs your consciousness. Whereas if you have a clean Zen-like room, then that purifies your consciousness, makes you more peaceful, which again improves your consciousness.
So, the diet and recreation, there's nothing, you say diet's what you put in your mouth, but recreation's like about what people do mainly on the weekends.
Yeah.
Most people's habits, like intoxication.
Yeah. Recreation in Bhagavad Gita, the verse is he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all pains by practicing the yoga system. So, regulation of things, doing things at the same time, and having a schedule is generally really useful in general in life, and also for just making things work better in my life. Regular eating, always eating at the same time, then the body's digestion system gets ready to digest at that time, whereas people that have irregular eating end up with digestion problems because the body is ready to digest at some point, but there's no food, and then it kind of burns out and all this acid is produced that has nothing to do. And then when food comes in the wrong time, you might get like bloating in your stomach, and you're not, because your body is not ready. But if you eat at the same time every day, your body can adjust. So you sleep at the same time every day, and you have some regular recreation. Everyone needs some kind of fun, some kind of fun in life, something that's enjoyable, and having that at the same time in a regulated pattern is useful.
What's your thoughts on just not sleeping?
Eventually you fall asleep, naturally. Yeah. And then most people go crazy with sleep deprivation. Yeah.
Have you heard that little jab? I don't know how true it is, but it's where the indigenous Americans said of the colonialists, whatever, that white man looks at his watch to know when he's hungry. As opposed to trusting your body.
So
towards your thing of
eat
at the same time.
Yeah.
As opposed to what your body tells you, when you can feel what your body wants.
Yes, I think there's really no disagreement there, where if you eat at the same time, naturally your body will adjust to that time also. And you know, not necessarily looking at the watch and going, well, okay, 12:01, okay. I eat
Just
at
lunchtime.
Yeah.
Depends on your diet too, as well, what you eat.
Yeah.
It's got lots
Routine
to do
is
with
very
cravings and
important,
that.
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
Goals.
Goals in life, yes, okay. Well, spiritual goals in life, of course, result in all of these changes, result in people making all the changes, beneficial changes to their lifestyle and consciousness. Whereas some people have material goals of acquiring more items, power, and so on, items or power or money or all of these things, which result in generally unhappiness and suffering. Or some people have no goal in life, which also doesn't, and are just drifting, taking drugs, which again doesn't produce any, which results in ghost-like ignorance lifestyle, which is not beneficial and leads to suffering ultimately.
I was interested in the food component. I mean, you know, I'm vegetarian because of cruelty to animals, but it's interesting to hear you say that it connects you to dead spirits. I mean, yeah, I never really looked at it like that.
Yeah, dear.
Dead energy through dead meat.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
suffering and everything.
But also the spirit of the animal, I guess, is, yeah.
Yeah, most animals that are raised for meat are, of course, killed. Well, all animals that are raised for meat are killed prematurely to their natural lifespan.
and I think the memories are in the cells, and you eating these cells, and when they have the memory of being cruelty and things like that, so you pick up on that energy, right?
Are they in the cells or just like in the brain?
I thought it's also, I don't know, I mean, I'm not a scientist or something, I don't know how it
The
works,
cells
but
have the energy and it's all
yeah,
muscle together.
You can clean that.
I thought it's in cells, yeah, but if the animal is dead, how you, like, it's there, you know, like, I don't know.
You can probably bless it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, water and stuff like that.
Some people say that, okay, I go out and hunt my meat, and then I say a prayer over it, and I bless it, I purify it in various ways before eating it. But like most people just go to McDonald's, right? And don't do all of this stuff, right?
There are good ways. Like back in the days, like when they kill for surviving, like they use maybe every part of an animal, and there is much more sort of appreciation, and the animal maybe has a better life. But so I think, like, I'm not against eating meat, but that way is way better, in my opinion, than how things done like today in slaughterhouses. Like it's just crappy meat. It's like, you know, it's not. Yeah. So I think there's a big difference in that too. But
yeah. And on the topic of association, the people that you're around, of course, influence you more than anything else in life. So just spending time with people who are high consciousness elevates people's consciousness, where spending time with people of low consciousness turns one into that. Or spending time with people who are of materialistic, kind of profit motivated mindset.
Insane, my flatmate.
That turns into that. In one of my previous jobs, job previous to this, I worked for a company that was working on legal artificial intelligence. And every day I was working with lawyers, and oh my goodness, so incredibly materially motivated. Like, I want a house with a bowling alley and a swimming pool and a helicopter. That's what I'm after in life. That's what I want so badly, and I'm willing to break laws, walk over people. And that guy was getting influenced, definitely. I'm so glad to get out of there. Yeah, it was affecting my consciousness. And last questions, because we are out of time. Thank you for coming, and thank you all for being a great audience and asking lots of interesting questions.
Ghostbusters badge on the.
You have the Ghostbusters mantras.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.